Dear viewers, welcome back to another episode. As always, we're diving deep into the issues that not only shake the economy but also reveal the enormous failures in government management under the pretext of political rhetoric. Today, we spotlight one of the most destructive problems facing the U.S. economy, the labor crisis in the construction industry, especially in the wake of the recent hurricanes. We'll unmask the political decisions that have led to what looks like a perfect storm, a storm of labor shortages, skyrocketing costs, and delayed or stagnated recovery efforts. You've probably already guessed it, immigration policies. All the noise on both sides of the political arena about immigration and border control that are more than just political talking points. They're dooming some of the very industries that Americans rely on for growth and recovery. Don't believe me? Let's look at the facts. Two hurricanes, Helene and Milton, ripped through southeastern U.S. states recently, leaving utter devastation. Not just in terms of property damage, but also in terms of the socio-economic breakdown that inevitably follows. Billions of dollars in homes, businesses, and infrastructure have been reduced to rubble. Communities are disbanded, property values plummeting. And here's the staggering reality. The progress of recovery depends heavily on one thing, construction labor, yet we've got an ever-deepening, labor shortage crisis right on our hands. Why, you may ask? Immigration. Yes, my friends, the construction industry is dependent on immigrant labor. Try glossing over that little nugget of truth, as certain politicians keep conveniently doing. Before even talking about the recent hurricanes, we were already inching towards a crisis in labor, especially in sectors like construction and agriculture. Here's some cold, hard data for you to chew on. According to recent estimates from Pew Research Center, 1.5 million construction workers, 13% of the entire U.S. construction workforce, are unauthorized immigrants. Mind you, this ignores those who are legally employed but were born outside the U.S. Statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics show that 1 in 4 construction workers nationwide were born outside the U.S., and in high-demand states like New York and Texas, that number shoots through the roof, with foreign-born workers accounting for over 50% of jobs. Even more concerning. The Associated Builders and Contractors Trade Group estimated that at the start of 2023, we would need an additional 500,000 workers to meet the demands of the construction industry. Yet, here we are, cracking down further on the very immigrant workforce that's essential to getting these jobs done. So who's going to feel the pinch the most? Middle-class Americans, property owners, local businesses, everyone, really. Now, let's connect this labor shortage disaster to the hurricanes. Hurricanes Helene and Milton have caused billions in damages, entire neighborhoods need rebuilding. However, rebuilding those homes is going to take a lot of manpower. John Anglin, a construction professional in North Carolina, put it bluntly, the workforce needed to rebuild was already strained before. Now, post-hurricanes, with labor stretched thinner than ever, how will we manage? Amber Lawson, an executive at a construction company in Georgia, shared her concerns. She said subcontractors, roofers, and essential trades are being pulled into storm reconstruction efforts, leaving regular projects in limbo. For those hoping to begin real estate projects or even waiting on ongoing construction efforts, guess what? Your timeline just got extended, and your costs just went up. The simple truth is, there is not enough labor to meet the increased demand post-disasters, and the subsequent rebuilding is being slowed because of conscious policy choices restricting the labor supply. So what's standing in the way of solutions? In a word, politics. Former President Donald Trump, in his renewed bid for the presidency, has doubled down on his anti-immigration stance. He's even promising a massive domestic deportation campaign, what he calls the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. Think about that for a second. Trump wants to deport more than 1 million unauthorized immigrants, a significant chunk of whom, as we established earlier, work in sectors critical for American infrastructure, agriculture and, oh yeah, construction. It's simple, his base thrives on this rhetoric, but no one's talking about the economic devastation that will occur when you undercut the labor supplies rebuilding these devastated communities. Not only would this crackdown delay efforts to rebuild after our recent hurricanes, but it would also have a damaging effect on the housing market itself, worsening the long-standing housing crisis. And I can't emphasize enough, it's a crisis already fraught with shortages. Trump's political opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, isn't all that much better when it comes to resolving the labor issue. While her proposals around immigration may be more moderate, she's supporting policies that would tighten asylum applications and still impose tougher border controls. In simple terms, her position differs in scale, not in principle, from Trump's extreme tactics. What does this all mean in practical, economic terms? Well, brace yourselves. 1. Higher home prices. With a labor force already on the brink, the shortage means delays, fewer homes built or repaired on time, and skyrocketing construction costs. That leads directly to higher home prices, especially for middle and upper-middle-class families looking to rebuild or invest in new homes. According to the National Association of Home Builders, every $1,000 increase in the price of a newly built home pushes about 150,000 American families out of the market for affordable housing. Imagine the cumulative effect, and wages go up, but so do material and labor costs due to shortages. 2. Supply chain pressures. Even before factoring in hurricane damage, global supply chains were strained. Whether you're talking about timber imports, steel, or simple household goods, interruptions are widespread. By cutting off immigrant labor, we're also exacerbating these bottlenecks. Immigration directly fuels construction productivity, but without those workers, the backlog grows. The more that supply chains slow down, especially in post-disaster areas, the more expensive and lengthier our recovery becomes. 3. Unemployment and income gaps. Another thing widely ignored is what happens when Americans lose access to affordable housing due to building delays or soaring rental rates. Regions hit by the hurricanes now have millions worth of construction projects on hold, which means workers and renters are displaced, depriving them of earning potential. And with fewer authorized workers available to take these jobs, we're essentially guaranteeing even longer unemployment lines, which extends already high wage inequalities. 4. Inflationary pressures. Labor shortages don't stop at rising property costs or delayed construction timelines, they push up inflation as well. Remember, a tighter labor market means wages go up. That sounds good on paper, until you realize that as wages increase in industries like construction, those added labor expenses are passed on to consumers. The longer worker shortages continue, the more businesses burdened by these heightened costs will continue raising prices. In turn, this drives overall inflation rates. Socket Sony, a leader advocating for disaster relief workers, offered a glimpse at a possible solution: reimagining U.S. immigration policy as economic policy. The truth is shocking to some, because they think of immigrants only in terms of controversy, but the reality is clear. Immigrant workers are essential to rebuilding communities after disasters like these hurricanes, not some dispensable cliché to be tossed aside by political maneuvering. What we need is clear. 1. Revamped immigration reform. We need immigration policies that expand labor pipelines rather than restrict them. That means giving legal pathways to undocumented workers and offering temporary work visas for immigrant labor essential to disaster recovery. 2. Incentivizing labor migration. The U.S. should create incentives for international labor migration, whether through skilled labor programs, visa accelerations, or streamlined processing for industries critical to economic restoration. 3. Federal support for disaster relief workers. The government should create supportive policies that recognize and encourage the small army of workers needed in the aftermath of natural disasters. Strengthening worker protections through federal support packages means guaranteeing that they remain in the U.S. long-term and contribute to rebuilding efforts when future disasters strike. What we're witnessing, folks, is a recipe for economic disaster. Today, it's 2 devastating hurricanes, but these challenges are mirroring much bigger, enduring problems in building robust and resilient economic structures for the future. A bottleneck in the construction industry will mean fewer homes, longer delays, higher prices, and greater inequality. The political bickering about immigration isn't just about securing our borders, it's about shooting ourselves in the financial foot. Whether you're planning on buying a house, investing in property, or just hoping to see your community bounce back after a hurricane, you're tied up in this mess too. So next time somebody tells you that migrant workers are taking jobs or hurting America's economy, remember this: the real disaster isn't immigration. It's what happens when we close off the one solution that could rescue us from falling deeper into economic ruin. Until next time, stay tuned, stay smart. Be sure to subscribe for your regular dose of cold, hard economic truth.